Greetings, comic friends. It's time for another episode of Tales from the Vault. This time, I'm going to be telling you the story of my Amazing Fantasy 15. It has quite a bit of history to it, aside from its normal history of being what it is and being from 1962. But I can trace this book back to quite a few years. And I think it's quite an interesting and touching story, which makes me love this particular copy of it that much more. So this book, the farthest I know back, originally belonged, not originally as bought off the shelf, but as far as I know of its history, belonged to a very close friend of mine. If I remember correctly, he bought this book for himself when his father passed away. Just one of those things that I think kind of people do when they're struggling with grief. Try to get something to lift their spirits. And he has been a lifelong Spider-Man fan, so he bought himself this copy of Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm not sure how long ago that was. It was quite a while ago. It was before I knew him, and I've known him since early 2000s, but I don't remember exactly when that was. So he had bought this, and he had it in his collection for quite some time. Fast forward years and years later, he bought into a local comic store, Legend Comics and Coffee, my go-to comic store. And that store wanted to move and do some upgrades and things like that. So he invested in the store and became half owner, and still is half owner to this day. So they moved. They had a successful reopening, and they continue to be successful today. Probably known in small part to my profile there. So at one point, they decided they wanted to do something for the community and give back. This was initiated by my friend in particular, because he had a niece that had... Wendigo, this is not appropriate for camera. Sorry. His I believe it was his niece, had gotten a wish granted by Make-A-Wish. So he was a really big fan of this charity. So for a few years, they had started doing this drive for Make-A-Wish. And the first year that they did it, they were doing door prizes. The celebration would be on Free Comic Book Day because it was already a big event. And they were doing door prizes where you could... buy door prize tickets. They made a bunch of comic themed carnival games. I think his wife made most of them by hand, where you could win tickets and things like that. And 100% of the benefits went to Make-A-Wish. And all the prizes were like donated things from other local places around town and whatnot. And my friend donated his Amazing Fantasy 15 to help raise funds for Make-A-Wish. This was the grand prize of the door prizes. Pretty generous, but it got some news coverage and things like that. So it really helped in letting people know that this comic shop was doing a lot to raise funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And by donating, you had a chance to win this incredible book. So Free Comic Book Day came around. I don't remember what year this was. It was a number of years ago. I really wanted to win this, obviously, for obvious reasons. I played a lot of carnival games. I got a lot of tickets. So the door prize drawing comes up, and go through a bunch of other prizes. They do this one last obviously. And actually, I won a couple of small things from like local businesses and stuff, which was kind of cool. And finally, it came time for this. So they have the big drum thing to pull out the winner of all the tickets. They pull it out, and they call the name Charlie. My name's not Charlie. At first, I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, I wanted to win, but it wasn't a waste because everything that I'd put into trying to win it went to a great cause. So Charlie walks out just out of the crowd, and it's like this, I don't know, 10-year-old kid. And it was awesome. It was like this little kid who I think like maybe played like one carnival game or something, didn't have many tickets in there, ended up winning this thing. And he walks, and he doesn't know what's going on. Like I don't think he understands what he just won. But I mean, the crowd goes like there's a bunch of people around. The crowd goes wild, and this little kid walks up that won this copy of Amazing Fantasy 15. It was awesome. I don't think it could have gone to a better person because it was just adorable. I remember talking to my friend later, and he went home, and apparently he got a call from his parents. And they call him. They're talking to him like my kid came home with this comic, and he says it's worth like however much amount of money. It was at the time in the thousands, obviously. And they're like, I just want to make sure. And like he's like, yep, yeah, he won the grand prize. He has that Amazing Fantasy 15, and it was raw. The book was raw. I should mention at the time. So they're like, oh, okay, well, they're like, hold on to it. If you hold on for a while, it'll gain value. You can keep it if he becomes a big fan, or you can sell it. Whatever he wants to do. But it's his book. So then, fast forward again. I walk into the shop, and in one of their cases is this book. Still not graded, still raw, but it's in there. I'm like, whoa, wait. At first I didn't know it was like this exact same copy, but like, you got an Amazing Fantasy 15, you didn't tell me about it. Like, what's going on here? But I spotted it, and I asked, my friend was working at the time, asked him about it. And he's like, yeah, that's Charlie's. That's Charlie's copy of that book. Like it was years later. He was saving up for like college or something like that. He was saving it for something, and he needed money, and he sold the book back to the comic shop. And I told him like, don't sell it. Don't sell it. I want that book. Let me get some funds in order, but don't sell it. So, I came back later after I'd gotten some stuff rearranged, and I was like, okay, let's take a look. Let's open it up and make sure it's complete. All that stuff. Just like it was my friend's originally, so I believe it. But at the same time, it's like something like this. Let me see it with my own eyes. So I flipped through it, and it was awesome. I was like shaking the whole time. And the price on it was the price on it. I can't remember if he sold it back to him. He might have done it on commission. So the price was firm, which is fine. It was a fair price. But it might have been on commission, which probably would have been the way that he should have done it. So it was probably that. But at the same time, I was still like, it's still a lot of money. Because, it's not a cheap book. Because this was... Does this say when this is encapsulated? Because I got it encapsulated, like, almost immediately. It doesn't... Okay. I'd have to look it up. But we were thinking, like, yeah, this is probably going to come back, like, a 1.5 or a 1.8. And my friend, to his credit, he's like, I'll give you an assurance. Like, if it comes back, like, lower than that, we'll work something out, sort of thing. And that wasn't just because he's my friend. That was because of like just he's a super cool dude, and he really takes care of people who come to his shop. So I bought it and I sent it in and ended up getting a 2.0. I'm happy with a 2.0 because again this book is what it is. I mean it would not benefit from a cleaner press. I mean it has defects, but clean and press. I mean staples are intact, which is nice and all that. But I mean the other thing I want to say about this is how even a few years ago when I would have gotten this, how rare is it to find this book raw? Right, this is a book. If you find raw, I don't care if it is a 1.0, you get it and get it graded because getting it graded like immediately doubles the value, or at least close to doubles. This at a 2.0, as soon as I got it graded, it immediately doubled the value of what I paid for it. Immediately. So that's why I mean you don't see raw copies of this ever because people know that it is a quick flip if you want it to just buy one, grade it, and sell it for way more than when you paid for it, even if it is a hefty investment to begin with. So I came back at 2.0. I was super happy with 2.0, considering we were thinking it was 1.5 or 1.8, but it is sort of the crown jewel of my collection. This also, in a more that's the story of this book itself, but in a more personal to me, getting this book is what triggered me to get a complete run of Amazing Spider-Man. As I saw in my last episode of Tales from the Vault, I had already had the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I'd had that for years and years. But when I got my hands on this, at that point, I was like, I have the two hardest, most expensive Spider-Man books to get. They're done. They're off the list. And I had like a bunch of other keys, obviously, just from my normal key collection or key collecting. I didn't have all of them. I still need a couple. So getting this is what triggered I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a full run of Amazing Spider-Man, which I am now 6 issues away from. But because I had the Amazing Spider-Man 1, because I consider this part of the run, like it's, and even if you don't, I'm also, in the grander scheme of things, collecting a full run of all Spider-Man titles. So this would definitely fall into that. But yeah, it's this book's fault for making me decide to get a full run of Amazing Spider-Man. But the book itself has a great story, great origins from my friend buying it in a really sad, dark moment to help lift his own spirits, to being donated for a worthy cause, to being won by this kid, to it being resold to help him pay for school, and then ended up in my hands. And as far as I'm concerned, everything to say about it is going to remain in my hands, and until my final days. So that is the storied history of my copy of Amazing Fantasy 15. Even if I don't plan on it, but even if I ever got another copy of this, like upgraded it to a higher grade, I don't think I could sell this copy just because of its history and how important it is to me personally. There's more to some books than just the book themselves and the value and the grade. Some of them have a deep, deep meaning. And this is one of them. It's also nice that it's a really important and valuable book, but the reason that it's always going to stay with me is because of the history and what it means to me. So that's it. That is my history. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and as always, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.